Oh, Swagnet. I should have seen it coming. What? You don't know Swagnet? Well, let me clue y'all in. You remember what happened a few years back. That whole alter ego mess. Now, I helped put away the one Coach Shroom managed to make an enemy of. Well, what that guy was to Coach Shroom, I've always felt like Swagnet is to Mr. Onesie. Funnily enough, news reports were coming in about Swagnet while that was all going on. I should have seen the signs. Swagnet popping up is never good news. He's been plaguing Mr. Onesie for so long now. But here's the thing. Everyone I've come up against these past years has had a motive, a reason for doing what they did. As messed up as those reasons may have been, they did exist. Chase was looking to increase his stock in Draft League City while getting around to run a bad fortune on the battlefield. Now the Colts, they were looking to take advantage of a leaderless wasteland to gain a following and power, while Red Sugimori was running, looking for protection and security. Addison? Well, she wanted the glory, and to cement herself as one of the best to ever do it. The Dome Fanatic was angry that his league had been brought back without him, and at the alter ego incident giving it a bad name in his absence. But Swagnet, he's an enigma, and agent of chaos. He don't do things for any reason you or I might have, or any reason at all for that matter. He's a wild card. Got more screws loose than a disassembled magneton. And that makes him all the more dangerous. Thankfully, that attitude does provide a potential advantage. In the pursuit of doing whatever he wants for no good reason, Swagnet's made no shortage of enemies. And I don't just mean myself. Now that I know he's behind the draft sniping, anyone who suffered because of it is gonna be gunning for the one responsible. And all the people Red targeted on behalf of the consortium, if Swagnet hadn't been in play, none of that would have happened. Not to mention Mr. Onesie himself. Suddenly, his disappearance at the end of the last Pokémon Premier League season starting to make a whole lot more sense. There's gonna be a long old list of people itching to have a crack at Swagnet. Not that they know it yet. But rest assured, they will soon enough. But I said before, I'm no fan of vigilantes. Most important thing for me to do is talk to him one-on-one first. And thanks to Chase's intel, I have the chance to do just that. I don't expect to find out why he's been doing what he's doing. And the last thing I want to do is get into it with him on the field. There's a good reason I don't do that anymore. I wonder if Paul ended up telling Coach Shroom why that is. What's this about, Captain?
Tell me, Striker, what do you know about the NX Games?
Heard rumors. Apparently it's a new tournament that anyone can enter. High stakes, no restrictions. Sounds dangerous.
That's exactly right. And you're still the best damn competitive battler on the force.
So, you want me to enter on behalf of the DLPD, huh?
Precisely. With so many unknown quantities involved, Arceus only knows what's gonna happen. We need you to make sure things don't get out of hand.
Don't you worry, Captain. What could go wrong? Either way, looks like it's gonna take a miracle for Coach Shroom to make the playoffs this season. I hope he does, of course. But if not, well, One less distraction for what has to happen next. Hello everyone, Shroomraver here, and welcome to the final week of the regular season of PPL Season 5. Yes indeed, last time we took another loss, unfortunately, this time to our good friend Chase. Playoffs are not looking very likely. We need a lot of things to go our way, and realistically, it's a bit of a pipe dream, but mathematically there is a chance, so we are going to be giving it our all this week as we take on Leo, aka SixftHax, and the Carolina Haxorus. His links down there in the description below, along with everyone else. Make sure you check him out. He has been a staple of Draft League and the Pokemon community for years and years now. I've been a long time viewer of his, love his content. We've only ever battled once before in MBC, where we managed to defeat him to progress on in playoffs. So he'll be looking for revenge in this one, I'm sure. And his team is tough. He can choose from Darkrai, Landorus-T, Terra Iron Crown, Cyclizar, Terra Ogerpon, Rotom, Diancie, Urshifu Rapid Strike, I should say, Toxapex, Ditto, Cottony, and Terra Surskit. A lot of very nasty threats there. Those Terra captains, Ogerpon and Iron Crown, are devilishly good. And, you know, we can't really take Surskit for granted. That thing can do some work. But then you've got the likes of Darkrai and Urshifu Rapid Strike that can do nasty things. The core of, like, Toxapex, Lando, Iron Crown, very difficult to take down. Ditto can be tricksy and put an end to certain sweep options. Cyclizar, Leo has been using really effectively in an offensive role. And just nasty options. The Diancie is something that worries me as well. There's just a lot of things that we don't really deal very well with. Like I say, we need a lot of things to go our way. Like, we need to win at least 5-0 to even stand a chance of making playoffs. We need another game to end in like a 6-0. And we need another game to be a 1-0 win either way. So there's a lot of things that we need to try and get around. But we're going to do our level best. So, our team is starting out with Clear Amulet Iron Treads here. Very offensive. 200 speed Jolly is allowing us to outrun, I want to say, the Shifu, perchance, maybe the Crown. We're Earthquake, Ice Spin, and Knockoff and Rapid Spin on here today. Clear Amulet allows us to get around the Intimidate from Landorus and ruin that thing with Ice Spinner. Earthquake is pretty standard. Knockoff is going to be useful for the Rotom, which is a really good switch into most variants of Iron Treads. And of course, Rapid Spin. There are a lot of hazard options on Leo's team, the likes of Lando, Ogerpon, Diancie, and Toxapex can all do that job. So we need to make sure we can spin where we can. Next up, we have quite a fun set here. This is going to be Mirror Herb Deoxys-Speed. We are rocking Psychic, Focus Blast, Nasty Plot, and Taunt. Max HP, 120 attack, Modest, 128 special defense. That is allowing us to at least tank a hit from the Darkrai if it's Timid Scarf, which I'm kind of anticipating. Only 12 in speed because we outspeed everything naturally that isn't Scarfed or +1 on Leo's side. Mirror Herb is a little bit of tech that I borrowed from Vepsis, actually. When Vepsis went against us in OLR, we had Terra Ogerpon, and he brought Mirror Herb Tornadus Therian. So that if we went into Ogerpon to Terra and get the speed boost to revenge it, he would then get that speed boost with Mirror Herb and proceed to wreck our face. And I'm hoping to try and do the same with Deoxys-Speed here. It could well be a lead for me. But either way, I'm hoping that with max HP we can tank some hits and maybe get a Mirror Herb off and try and do some damage. Speaking of doing damage, we have Terra Fairy, Weakness Policy Primarina. Oh yes, max HP, 100 defense allows us to at least take some hits from the likes of Shifu, certainly, Landorus, indeed, and it'll take a hit from offensive Toxapex, which we're kind of anticipating here. We have Sparkling Aria, Draining Kiss, Psychic Noise, and Misty Terrain. I would love to set this thing up on the Toxapex, go for a Misty Terrain in case he wants to try and Toxic us, but also we will tank a Gunk Shot, Misty Terrain means we can't be poisoned. We get our weakness policy and we start psychic noising and just doing damage to things. It's a bit of an experimental set, this one, but I'm hoping it can actually do a bit of work and be a little bit unexpected. I'm not anticipating this to Terra. I have plans for that later on. But we are bringing back Urshifu Single Strike. I'm hoping that Leo brings Rapid just so we can have the Urshifu off. We're on Roselli Berry. I tossed up between that and Assault Vest, but in the end I decided to go with Roselli Berry to take some of those rogue fairy type hits like Play Rough from the Ogerpon, or at least take maybe a Dazzling Gleam from Diancie. We have Wicked Blow, Drain Punch, Iron Head, and Sucker Punch. It's very standard fare. We are Max Attack, Max Speed, Jolly because of the base 97 Urshifu on my opponent's side. Then we have our main Terra target, and you know it's going to be Haxorus. We are Terra Fairy, we are Citrus Berry, we are Terra Blast, Earthquake, Sub, Dragon Dance. With Unnerve, Max Speed, 208 in attack. With Dragon Dances up, obviously Haxorus can always do work. Fairy Offense is pretty free into Leo's team. The only things that will take those hits are Iron Crown and Toxapex, which don't want to take an Earthquake. We've got 48 in defense on there in case Leo wants to try and copy Haxorus with Ditto. Before he Terras, he will do nothing with Terra Blast, and that Earthquake from my own Haxorus does not 2-hit KO my Haxorus. So we're looking to try and maybe do some work against that. I am very much anticipating Ditto here. Leo's already qualified for playoffs. I very much likely can't outside of Miracles. So I'm kind of anticipating a few of the lesser seen things on Leo's side, and I think Ditto might be one of those that he thinks can do a bit of work here. If it does come, we do have even more contingency for it, because we are rocking out with Terra Normal, Chalanberry PZ. With adaptability, we have Terra Blast, Psychic, Shadow Ball, and Agility. We are not bringing Tri-Attack here, we are not bringing Hyper Beam. Psychic is, of course, good for the Shifu and the Toxapex. We have Shadow Ball that is there for the Rotom and the Iron Crown. Terra Blast is hitting everything else. It's the same base power as Tri-Attack. But here's the thing. If I get an Agility up with PZ, I can do a lot of damage potentially to Leo's team. But if he copies that with his own potentially Scarfed Ditto, he can do a lot of damage to me. That means he will want to go for Terra Blast, but with my Chalanberry, I will live that, and with his lower base HP, my own adaptability boosted Terra Blast will OHKO him. So that is kind of what we're going with this Chalanberry PZ. It can potentially do a lot of work even if the Ditto isn't there. It's also quite nice to have that Chalanberry as a sort of secondary answer to the Cyclozar, which again Leo has used very effectively in an offensive role. So yeah, that is the team we are going into this one with. I don't have particularly high hopes of making playoffs, but we are going to give it our best damn shot. So let's get over to the battle screen and see what Leo has decided to bring against us. So as you can see, Leo has decided to bring Terra Water Iron Crown, Darkrai, Rotom, the Terra on Ogerpon of course, Landorus-T and Toxapex. He's brought the threats. Leo is taking this one very seriously, and we are going to try and do the same. There is no Ditto, there is no Cyclozar, so my old Quacker voice may not be as effective as I would like it to be, but I'm going to lead with my Deoxys-Speed. Let's see how Leo decides to respond. So here we go, the final week of the regular season against Leo, aka SixftHax, and the Carolina Haxorus. There he is going to be leading with his Rotom, as I am going to go with Deoxys-Speed. Rotom covering my Treads lead, obviously. But I've got my Deoxys in here now. I have a lot of special defense investment and max HP, so there is very little chance that he is going to be able to OHKO us. But I don't really want to set up here in case he wants to go for Thunder Wave or Volt Switch into like Scarf Darkrai. Or something like that. So I am just going to try and go for some damage here and scout out exactly what kind of Rotom we are working with by just clicking Psychic off Rip. So Psychic is going to come in, and that is going to do a pretty good amount to the Rotom. Just under half is what we leave it at. He's going to go for Volt Switch and do sort of significantly less. Now, there is every chance that Scarf Darkrai can come in here, or indeed the Ogerpon. And if the Ogerpon does come in, I don't want to stay in. Yes, he can Terra and I can get my Mirror Herb off, but I just am not going to be able to take him out from a range of health of full. So, realistically, it's every chance that Deoxys does not want to stay in here unless for some reason he decides to go into, like, Toxapex. And yeah, he's not going into Toxapex, he's going into Darkrai. Of course he is. This could very well be Scarfed. You know, Dark offense is actually pretty okay into me. Like, even the stuff that resists it doesn't want to take too many of those hits. And I definitely can't risk him being Scarfed anyway, so I'm going to have to get on out of here. I don't switch in overly well to Darkrai, especially if he wants to predict my Prim and just go off rip for something like Sludge Wave. My best play here is actually going to be my Urshifu, and now is when I'm really kind of wishing that I was Assault Vest, not Roselli Berry, but the Roselli could still come in handy. So I am going to make the play into my Urshifu Single Strike here. If he is going to just Dark Pulse, then it's really not going to do all that much to me at all, even if I am not Assault Vested or invested in HP or Speed-F. So, that's going to be the play I make. Going to get out of there with Dio and go into Jetfu Holiday as we see Dark Pulse come in from the Darkrai, which does very little damage indeed. Now, I don't think he's going to want to stay in here, funnily enough. Switches look to be the likes of, basically, it's Landorus or it's Toxapex here. Wicked Blow is going to be my play. Like, if he is indeed choiced and for some reason he does stay in, I'm doing more to him than he's doing to me for sure. And if he isn't Scarfed for some reason, he can't take the risk of me being Scarfed. So I am just going to click Wicked Blow, predicting the switch out into Lando or Pex. And yeah, he does not want the smoke. He's not staying with Darkrai and a Urshifu Single Strike, that's for darn sure. And it is going to be Javier who comes in. That is, of course, the Landorus Therian. Gonna go for Wicked Blow here. That is going to be a clean 3-hit KO, and we do see Rocky Helmet. Now, I do want to wear this thing down, and honestly, like, switching into Earthquake is not the easiest thing for my team to do. Weirdly enough, my Urshifu is probably the best thing to take said Earthquake. Aware that if I want any chance of playoffs, I need a big differential, I am still going to stay in here and click Wicked Blow. I should be doing more to him than he's doing to me, and I rather think that I can outspeed him. So I'm just going to click Wicked Blow here, and at least try and take him down into the red, so that he can be easily killed by basically anything on my team. So here comes the second Wicked Blow. That does indeed take him into the red. I take a little bit more Rocky Helmet chip, of course, and that's going to be rocks going up on my side of the field. Now, I'm not all that bothered about it. I've got a big amount of damage into the Rotom, meaning that when Treads comes in, if he tries to spin block, I can just click 2 knockoffs, and I should be fine even if he's Cold Berry. So I'm quite happy for rocks to be up here, but again, I don't switch into Earthquake. And now that he's got his rocks up, there's very little that this Landorus really wants to do. So Wicked Blow is a very free click. I am going to make that click. And kind of hope that he just lets me have the Landorus. Again, I don't see any reason why he would switch out. There's nothing on his side of the field that wants to take a Wicked Blow, much as there's nothing on my side that wants to take an Earthquake. And he is indeed going to give me the Landorus, which is nice. We've taken a lot of Rocky Helmet chip, but that Landorus is down, which means he can no longer intimidate into my Haxorus if that's an option he wanted to try and save it for. And speaking of hits that I quite simply do not want to take, in comes Ogerpon. Now, I'm in a bit of a bind here. I would love to keep Urshifu. It's actually quite good into the rest of Leo's team. But we have a problem. If he wants to try and set up a Swords Dance here, or Trailblaze, something like that, I am kind of screwed, actually. There's very little that really wants to deal with that, so I'd love to try and get some Sucker Punch chip, but if he goes for Swords Dance, I am kind of boned here. I kind of just have to stay in and click Wicked Blow and take the L with Urshifu. It's got its KO, which is always nice, but yeah, I can't take the risk of him, I say, either setting up a Swords Dance or even like going for spikes, because that pressure is going to pay into my team if he wants to Hazard Stack. As it is, he is just going to go for that big Ivy Cudgel. That is, of course, going to take out my Urshifu from there. And now I only really have one play, and that is pretty much to go into my Haxorus here. And so, in comes Haxorus, and now we're presented with the Haxorus Terra 50/50. He will be packing the play rough, I'm absolutely certain of that. But here's the problem. Even if I don't Terra, and he predicts me to and goes for Ivy Cudgel, there is every chance that he can crit through and then get a prediction right the next time. And if I do Terra and he goes for play rough, then he will just be able to take me out the next turn with his own Ivy Cudgel. So realistically, what Lucky O'Brien has to do here is just try and get big damage. So I'm not going to Terra here. I am just going to click the sub. Even if I don't Terra, I will live a play rough. I may not live it particularly well, but I will live it, get my citrus, and be able to get a sub off. And then he's playing with potential play rough misses. At that point, I can Terra behind my sub and go for a Terra Blast. So I don't Terra, he does go for play rough and lands it, and does kind of more than I thought he would actually. I kind of overestimated Haxorus' bulk. I'm not running much, but I do get my Citrus Berry, and I am going to be able to go for Substitute here. Now, here's the thing. Unfortunately, I am not going to be able to get the chance to go for Dragon Dance. Reason being, I can get a Dragon Dance up behind a sub, sure, he'll break it, but then he can just Terra and get his speed boost, and he'll kill me anyway. So really what I have to do here is just go for my damage. I should be doing at least 50% with my Terra Blast to this Ogerpon, unless he's got fairly significant bulk investment. So I'm just going to Terra here. I'm going to have to take the L with Haxorus, unfortunately. But getting big damage into this Ogerpon is mighty important. So we get out from behind our Substitute in order to pop our Terra. It is, of course, the Terra Fairy. Still kind of wishing here that I had First Impression, but them's the breaks. I'm still going to be able to get a big hit into him. So here we have Terra Fairy Haxorus once again. Behind our sub, he is, of course, going to go for Play Rough. I guess just in case I didn't Terra. But that Play Rough is still going to be enough to break our sub. A miss there would have been nice, but again, them's the breaks. You can't win them all. We are going to go for the Terra Fairy Terra Blast into Ogerpon. That is going to come in, and that is going to do under half. I was hoping for more. Really, I was. This is showing me that he has at least some kind of bulk investment. And here I'm sort of just wondering, do I try and preserve Haxorus for anything? I was wondering about Nigel, but realistically, with the rocks up, he is going to be able to just take me out. He's going for Ivy Cudgel here. Basically, something is dying, and I don't really have a choice in the matter. So what I kind of have to do here is take the L with Haxorus. It's going to go down. It's got some damage, not as much as I would like, and then I'm just going to have to try and react from there. And yeah, he is just going to go for the Ivy Cudgel and take me out. He doesn't need to Terra his Ogerpon. He can keep that option open for his Terra Water Iron Crown if he so desires, and he might be wanting that for my Primarina later on down the road. So Lucky O'Brien, unfortunately, this regular season is not going to do as well as it has in previous ones. Now here, I'm going to go into my PZ. Now, PZ has faced down Ogerpon forms before and lived to tell the tale. So this is probably my best chance at living it here. I do have some HP investment, so with any luck, I'll be able to at least take a hit. I am going to click Agility here. And kind of scout out what his answer to PZ is. He has to have one in there somewhere, because PZ, especially with the Terra option, is a massive threat, and he will have known that in team building. So I am just going to click Agility. Pretty sure he is going to want to get on out with Ogerpon. It can still do a lot of work into the remainder of my team, and he is indeed going to get on out of there, and it is going to be the big dog, that is the Toxapex, who is going to come in as we go for Agility. At this point, I basically just have to start clicking Psychic and hope for the best. This won't kill him. Like, it just won't. I may be sort of modest, but it's not going to get the KO here. I'm just kind of hoping that I can at least do enough to get the 2-shot. So, Psychic, gonna come in from PZ and do a really disappointing amount of damage, because this is max HP Assault Vest, and it's max attack as well. This is an offensive form of Toxapex. It's I believe it was like near max HP, max attack AV. So PZ, unfortunately, is really not doing anything in this game. A lot of our offensive threats have been lost. We have gone with a very offensive build, so I do have stuff in the back that can do some work. At this point, I'm going to go to one of my go-to ideas, one of my go-tos, against Regenerator mons, and that is just keep them as far below 50% as you can. As long as I can maintain this Toxapex at around about 50-60%, I can try and deal with it with Deoxys, or indeed, more likely, my Iron Treads, given that this is very clearly an Assault Vest build. So, gonna go for that second Psychic with PZ. That is going to take this thing down to around about 30%. He is going to go for the Gunk Shot, he is going to land it, and that is unfortunately going to take out my Quacker Voice as well. So, PZ is down 2 now, and we are down by quite a considerable amount early on in this game. Now, at this point, the actual switch should have been into my Iron Treads, but we have lost 3 mons. Now, you'll know from what I said at the start that means we've lost too many mons to be in with a chance mathematically of making playoffs. At this point, it is over for us, and no matter what we do, Leo is through to playoffs anyway. So I was like, screw it. Let's go with the set and see if it can do some work. I go into Prim thinking that there is a chance he is just going to want to stay in and Gunk Shot. Now, we should be able to live it. So I'm going to go for Misty Terrain, hoping that he's going to try and take us out here and proc our weakness policy. That way we can start doing some big damage with Psychic Noise, but unfortunately Leo is going to maintain his Toxapex, get that regen, and he's going to go hard into the Ogerpon as we go for Misty Terrain. Now, it will not surprise you to know that we do not switch into this thing. Like, we didn't to start with, we certainly don't now. He can just click Ivy Cudgel. Like, the only thing I have that has a chance of taking one is Iron Treads, and it does not take 2, and at this point, Ivy Cudgel kills the rest of my mons. Like, yeah, I could have gone for Psychic Noise and got a little bit more chip into this guy, but I wanted to show off the tech. Unfortunately, we are not going to be able to. I am going to, I think, click Draining Kiss here, just under the vague hope that we might be able to live an Ivy Cudgel, which is a stretch with Primarina, a real stretch. We can't Terra out of our weakness, unfortunately. That would have been nice to be able to do, but I needed that Terra on Haxorus to get damage into Ogerpon, and this is where Leo is gonna just go overkill. I don't think the Terra was necessary to take us out, but he wants to have the Terra on Ogerpon. That's fair enough. It's a very good Terra captain. And I guess it potentially gets through like a Rindo Berry that might have made the difference before his Terra. As it is, we are weakness policy. Funnily enough, now you may not have seen this coming, gang, but a Terra Ivy Cudgel from Ogerpon is actually going to take out Prim. Who could have seen it coming? Not me. I definitely did. I knew that was going to kill. At this point in the game, I was like, I'm just having fun with it. I am going to go into my Iron Treads here, because weirdly, like, there is a chance here that Iron Treads can win this game. He can't use his Terra on Iron Crown anymore. His Landorus is gone. This thing doesn't really want to take an Ice Spinner. Rotom will be too short if that's his switch into me trying to spin. Toxapex will go down to Earthquake once I potentially get a little bit more damage on it if that's a switch. And then it's just Darkrai, which might not be bulky. So, weirdly, we aren't actually out of this yet. He's going to make the play into Rotom as to be kind of expected. I am just going to go for the Ice Spinner, which is going to get rid of the terrain that I just set up with my Primarina, which is interesting. You know, Prim was there, I guess. As it is, we Ice Spin it into the Rotom, and now I can go for Knockoff, even if he's physically defensive, which I don't think he is, and even if he's Colbur, this Knockoff should be able to deal with the Rotom. And it is Colbur Berry, but as you'll see, we do deal with the Rotom. So Knockoff is going to be able to take out Rotom from there. Now I'm free to spin, which could potentially be a bit of a difference maker. Like I said, Iron Tread still has a chance in this game. And in comes Blackbeard, the Darkrai. Now, I'm pretty much anticipating this thing to be Choice Scarfed. So I have a few options here. I can go for Rapid Spin to get my speed up in case he isn't, or I can go for Knockoff, get rid of that Choice Scarf, and then go for a spin of my own. And basically kind of bank on the fact he might not be able to two-shot us, especially if he is more of a bulky build, because like Rapid Spin into Knockoff into Earthquake should actually be doing a decent chunk of damage to this guy. Unfortunately, he is a bit of a more supportive bulky set. He is packing the Will-O-Wisp, and that pretty much has us dead in the water. I do go for the Knockoff here, expecting to get rid of a Choice Scarf. As it is, I'm actually going to get rid of a Choppleberry. Which kind of also works out. Like, I was getting rid of a Scarf, anticipating Deoxys to have to do the work. Getting rid of a Choppleberry kind of helps that as well, because it means that Focus Blast isn't going to have anything standing in the way of killing this Darkrai, except its 30% chance / 70% chance to miss. In comes the Dark Pulse. We're going to go for a Rapid Spin. The Dark Pulse doesn't KO, we don't flinch, and we get a spin off. That is really crucial, because now we're going to be able to get one last hit off with Earthquake, and hopefully put this Darkrai in guaranteed range of Focus Blast, and basically kind of hope that Deoxys can see us through. It's a bit of a stretch here. Earthquake is going to come in, and we are actually going to score a crit, which is nice. That definitely puts it in range of Focus Blast. Dark Pulse is, of course, going to take out Iron Treads from there, so now it is a 4v1 situation. It is Deoxys-Speed versus the world. We are wasting no time. We're just going to go right into it. Now, from full health, I could have taken a Dark Pulse. From this kind of range, it's much less likely. I kind of just have to go for Focus Blast here and kind of play for a little bit of pride, a little bit of differential. And as you'll see, we are going to land the Focus Blast, which is nice because that means Darkrai goes down. So at the very least, we have halved the potential diff. At the very least, it's going to be a 3-0 if Deoxys can't get this done. It's going to be a tough ask to break through the Iron Crown. Deoxys shouldn't have a problem against the Toxapex. But then there is this guy, who is the Ogerborn, who is at just too much health for us to be able to Oko realistically. However, he does get the speed boost, which means we get the speed boost. So I'm pretty glad at least that was able to happen. I am not packing Ice Beam, which is a bit of a shame. If I had been, I would have gone for it here. Realistically, he's got some HP investment, I would imagine. This Psychic is going to need a crit to take him out. We can't set up a Nasty Plot because he's going to blow us back with Ivy Cudgel. So it is Psychic or bust here as to whether we can take out this Ogerpon and try and stand any kind of chance against his last two. So here we go. Modest Psychic from Deoxys-Speed. Can it get the job done? Not quite. We come achingly close to taking out the Ogerpon, but we don't quite get it done. Ivy Cudgel is, of course, going to blow back Deoxys-Speed. Down goes Noodly Nigel, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be the game. Ah, that was a fun one. It was close-ish. You know, it was a 3-0 loss, which isn't terrible. But yeah, we just lost too many pieces really early on. As soon as the second Mon went down on my side, obviously I knew I wasn't going to make playoffs, and not much of a spoiler alert, we haven't made playoffs this season. We started the season really well, actually, but 5 losses on the bounce will do that to a team. Unfortunately, that is going to be the end of our run for this season. I'll go into more detail about that sort of after the fact. But for now, what I will say is to make sure you go into the description below and check out SixftHax. Like I said at the start, he is a pillar of the Pokemon community. He has been doing draft for donkey's years. He is very good at it. And he has been on a bit of a tear, sort of especially late into this generation. He has been absolutely racking up wins. And is a very deserving winner of this match and a very deserving recipient of a playoff position going forward into the rest of this season. But like I say, that is going to be it from us. There are certain things I could have done to maybe bring the differential down a little bit. I don't think there was much of a chance of me winning that one. Weirdly, if I'd have gone for not Ice Spinner with Treads, I actually had a better chance because he wouldn't have been able to burn me with the Darkrai. But I couldn't take the risk of him just staying in and clicking Cudgel and just winning the game there and then. So, you know, these things, they happen. But yeah, unfortunately, that is going to be the end of this run in the PPL. And basically, the final league of this generation. But thank you all so much very much for watching this game and the whole of this season. I do hope that you've enjoyed it. I've had a blast using some of my old favourite mons and some newbies that I've never had a chance to use before. So, what happens now? Well, like I say, this is pretty much coming towards the end of the Scarlet Violet meta. Obviously, a lot of leagues are now waiting for Pokemon Champions to drop. I don't know when that's going to be. It's looking like potentially like early next year, I think, is when that's going to happen. I don't think I'll be taking part in any draft league battling for sure until then. It's been about 10 seasons over the course of the last 2 years since I came back. And, you know, that drains you a little bit, so I'm going to take a bit of a break from it. Obviously, I'm still doing SPL, the analysis work for them. I'm doing the Heat of the Week stuff, which is great fun. It's nice to be able to sort of still take part in Draft League, but from more of a spectator analysis point of view. And, you know, the story is not over this season. The season for me is, but the story still has time to run. So keep your eyes peeled, because while it might not be me on your screen, Detective Striker's still got some work to do. So keep your eyes peeled for the end of this season. Obviously, I will be doing a full rundown of the season, the stats of the mons, all that kind of stuff. And I do have other plans for some more content coming your way to do with Draft League. So do keep your eyes out for any more information on that. In the meantime, make sure you check out all of the coaches, like I said in the description. Keep following the PPL. You know, the playoffs are looking very exciting. I'm really hyped to see how things are going to go. I'm in everyone's corner. I hope everyone wins. Obviously not everyone can, but I'm looking forward to seeing how the matches go. But that is going to be it from me for the battling for this season. So thank you all once again for watching. I'm going to get out of here. I've rambled on for far too long. So yeah, final thank you to you all for watching. And I guess with that, I'll see you next time. Laters.